India has decided that it will play a proactive role in the Ukraine resolution. This is round one of a single point plan which Modi is pursuing. The single point plan
Hmm.
being stop the war. Diverse vectors which are benefiting. I mean, talking of wars, yeah, it's a everybody knows kind of thing. Is the U.S. defense industry which hugely benefits from this.
Billionaire author and hedge fund manager Ray Dalio might have to come up with a sequel to his book, The Changing World Order, sooner than expected. You heard that right. The global power dynamics have been changing rapidly post the COVID era. Wars, first in Ukraine and now Middle East, proxy wars in Africa, trade wars, de-dollarization, the economic war, West versus East, and I can go on throughout the day. Ladies and gentlemen, the world order is shifting, but we are also living in more volatile times than ever before. In such a scenario, what is an emerging superpower like India's role? We are one unique country in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Our Prime Minister hugs Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden and Zelensky and Netanyahu and Mahmoud Abbas from Palestine. I'm joined by Robinder Sachdev, who's a foreign affairs expert. Robinder, welcome to Live Mint. How are you?
Thank you very much. So fresh as a mint. Thank you very much.
As a foreign affairs expert, imagine India as a person. Now, how would you see the global dynamics?
No, very interesting. Right off the bat, you said something which is very deep, I would say. I would put it this way: what we are seeing today is not a new world order emerging, as is being said, a new world order. In fact, I made a model, and since you mentioned by chance I have it, I will show it to you.
Okay.
The world is a matrix.
Okay.
It is a new matrix under construction, and this matrix is under construction. A matrix implies multiple points, connecting nodes, interconnected, etc. Some thicker nodes, some not so thick nodes. So I think that's what describes the world of today. It's a new world matrix under construction, big picture.
Okay. But Ravinder, India's position is a little unique. I mean, we are growing faster than China. The rate of growth is faster than China. China is slowing down as of now. Uh, Relations with the West are at an all-time low as far as the East is concerned. But India is in a unique situation. We share good relations with all members of the BRICS. But all the countries necessarily who have recently joined BRICS, say Iran and Egypt, they don't gel together. Iran and UAE don't look eye to eye. Egypt and Ethiopia don't look eye to eye. But we are in a unique situation. So where does that place India?
So there are opportunities galore. There are challenges galore also. To what extent can we, assume that the US will remain or will adjust with each other? See, in this matrix, nations are adjusting with each other. At least the ones, who know they have to somehow live together, right? In fact, everyone has to. But the challenge for us is that to what extent can we push the US or push back the US or push back Russia or China, and in order to carve our independent position as well as to have beneficial relations with all of these camps, I would say. So that's a challenge also. The opportunity is that also the world is looking forward to leadership. There's an absence of leadership in the world of today. Keep aside the UN. The UN is, keep aside the UN Security Council is absolutely defunct, right? But other than the UN Security Council, which should have been involved, none of the world leaders, if you see Joe Biden, Putin, Xi Jinping, who else is a world leader, one could say, none of them are talking about, I think, a middle path and peace and coexistence.
You think India is doing that?
India is the only one perhaps doing that. All else are looking at this world in a zero-sum game. That I benefit only if you lose. You lose, I benefit. If you are benefiting, that means I am losing. So that is the language, if you see, which is coming out of all of the world leaders today.
I'm glad you're using the word matrix very often. But, we are in a very peculiar situation, Robinder. We have always believed in the philosophy of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. The world is one big family. But we are in a tricky situation ourselves. I mean, Russia and China want to position BRICS as an anti-West bloc. But Prime Minister Modi, while the closing ceremony was happening, he mentioned very categorically that we should not be seen as an anti-West bloc. Now, India has its own relations with the United States, and India has its own relations with Russia. Relations with China are a little strained. How do you think India can manage both the sides? Because in this scenario, we are the only mediator, or at least
Very
the
true.
strongest one.
Yeah, absolutely right. A couple of things. That is the challenge we face, and partly I think how we're looking to work through this is that we're looking to influence or impact the future direction of the BRICS, so that it does not become an anti-Western. But yes, the reality is it will be a non-Western bloc. It's a non-Western bloc. If you can see, if one looks, and Putin also said it the other
How
day.
do you differentiate between non-Western and anti-Western? I mean, can you?
Semantics, but partly a non-Western bloc may be something which is not imminently anti-EU. Okay, a non-Western bloc will take time, and anti-Western bloc would mean that right now from day one, they
Hmm.
are taking a stance, position, policies which are anti the West. A non-Western bloc would mean that it will take its own time to mature, and by the
Hmm.
time it matures and gathers its own pace, then it'll be a separate pole, and at that
Okay.
point of time, it could be anti-West or it could be even pro-West. So the
Hmm.
non-Western perspective is that strengthen it up for the timing. So India is, I think, looking to shape the BRICS to the extent, because there are contradictions therein. I mean, Iran is there, China is there, clearly anti-American. So over the medium term, etc., I do see conflicts arising within the BRICS unless they agree to all something like a common minimum program.
Hmm. Uh, but Ravinder, India was one of the founders of non-aligned movement in the Nehruvian era, and today we stand here in the Modi's India. We are trying to bring Iran and Saudi Arabia under one roof through BRICS. I mean, Saudi Arabia hasn't formally become a member of BRICS, but it did attend the summit on invitation. If we manage to bring countries like Saudi Arabia and Iran under one roof, discussing common goals, won't that give us a diplomatic might uh, not enjoyed or not taken by any country or any summit, any organization before?
Certainly, it would. It'll give us, diplomatic, yes, heft, definitely out there. But I think the Saudi-Iran thing under the umbrella of BRICS will take some time. A bigger one role in which India is playing is the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
Hmm, hmm,
And there, India has, since Prime Minister Modi assumed his office in the third term, Indian foreign policy, in my mind, has made a gear shift, clear shift of the
hmm,
gear. When he went to Moscow and met with Putin, India has decided that it will play a proactive role in the Ukraine resolution. So far,
hmm,
we had been saying it's not the era of war, it is the era to live and let live. But in Moscow, when Prime Minister Modi met Putin, he clearly said we are ready to contribute to resolving this challenge. Now, see, that started round one. He met Putin in July. He went to Kiev, met Zelensky. He then went to the US for the Quad meeting, met Biden. Then he again
hmm,
met Zelensky on the sidelines of the New York UN in New York, and went
hmm,
now to BRICS to meet Putin. So I would
hmm,
say this is round one of a single point plan which Modi is pursuing. The single point plan
hmm,
being stop the war. So this is
hmm,
round one of consultations which Prime Minister Modi has done.
hmm,
Now, for the next couple of months, I would assume, I would define it as would be a second round of consultations and explorations between the stakeholders, and then a third round when the US president, new one, assumes office in the White House in January. So that'll be one more round. So I anticipate around three more rounds of these consultations, and then I do expect there's a high possibility of a India orchestrated, I would not say mediated, but India moderated maybe. We moderate the mediators, uh, getting together with stakeholders, and that's something huge which Indian foreign policy is attempting and working on.
Ravinder, you have been understanding foreign policy of India, and you have been an foreign policy expert for quite some time. You know that better than I do. We are living in an era of proxy wars. Through cyber wars, through funding of covert groups, like it's been happening in Middle East for the last many decades. there are hidden economic incentives for countries. Uh, let's take wars, for example. There is a section of people and high profile individuals who are making a lot of money from wars. In this era, how to negotiate peace?
Uh, Through strength. There is no other way. The world of today is
Okay.
honestly becoming really a word, Hindi word or English word jungle, but there's an added to it jungly, which is also an
Hmm.
English word, right? The world of today is becoming a jungly. Uh, there is negotiating peace. There is no way other than through strength, unfortunately. And yes, there are diverse vectors which are benefiting. I mean, talking of wars, yeah, it's a everybody knows kind of thing. Is the U.S. defense industry which hugely benefits from this. Which
Yes.
in fact, the U.S. President Eisenhower in the 50s, when he stepped down, he warned America of the military industrial complex within America, that how the military
Yes.
and industry would get together, right? So
Yes.
that's
Yes.
one.
Yes.
But the agenda of the US definitely is the defense industry, but it is also to cut down Russia to size. They see Russia as the enemy. So that's out there. Now, as far as Russia and Ukraine are concerned, this would at best end up as a pause, maybe an armistice or something like that.
I mean, Donald Trump calls Zelensky a very good salesman. He comes to US and takes off billions of dollars for his aid. I mean, there is a complicated dynamic equation which is in play. Under this scenario, it becomes very difficult to counter that incentive, that economic incentives which a lot of people are benefiting from.
Oh,
And
absolutely. I'll give you one
my question
specific
is that how
example.
difficult will it be for India? What tools should we have as an emerging superpower to address and counter these incentives?
We'll have to create our own incentives. We'll have to
Okay.
create our own capabilities, which are our own capabilities, which become attractions for others. One, let's say our market, right?
Hmm.
The size of a market is partly what drives America to be wanting to partner up with India. If our market, the size and the growth of our economic engine was not where it is, America would not be as forthcoming uh, for deeper relations with India as it is now. That's the bare truth, and that same applies even for Russia. Now, Russia sees India as as of course an emerging, not only an emerging, and we are already there, right? Big economy, scientific talent, technology pool, etc. So for us, I think to create our own capabilities, the better, the more we create. That is one way for us to attract others to deal with us. You see, Zelensky 5 days ago, not five, few days ago, declared a victory plan, a 5-point victory plan. The fourth point in that plan is that he offered joint production and exploitation of natural resources of Ukrainian assets. So,
Hmm.
what effectively offering the West and the large investors, the Black Rocks and the hedge funds, whoever, etc., the pension funds, right, the Goldman Sachs of the world, he's offering them that the resources of
In
Ukraine, which are
exchange for what?
sorry, no,
In
he's
exchange.
he's saying that is for the development or the redevelopment post war redevelopment.
Yeah,
First,
that
he's
has
saying,
been in play for quite some months now.
yeah, that has
I
been
mean,
play, but it
BlackRock has
has not.
officially.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But it has not been said by Zelensky as a plan that, this is a plan. So what he is doing is that he's creating an incentive for these companies in the West to push their governments to keep supporting Ukraine,
Hmm.
right? So that they
So,
can, he's
so we are back
dangling
to
that
square one. It's
carrot.
a military
Yeah.
industrial complex which is benefiting a few.
No, this is not only military industrial complex, this is a wider industry. It's industries, aluminum industry, food grains, the food grain, agriculture, wheat, etc., whatever. So
Hmm.
it's industry as such, not only military industry. He's offering it to all that come and protect my assets. What he's saying,
And that's
okay,
why
protect my
the
assets
role of
and
India
share
becomes
in the
very
profits.
complicated, acting as a peacemaker.
Yeah, see, that's a great point. Therefore, a peacemaker here, we will not be able to push anyone because you don't have any leverage over one or the other. This will
Hmm.
happen only when both sides get tired. So India will
Okay.
be then ready at that point through our rounds and rounds of discussions okay, and a common framework we would have developed or reached understanding. So when both are tired and want to sit down, that is when this thing will kick in, not before that.
Robinder,
Yes, sir.
Sachdev, thank you so much for your time and speaking to Live Mint. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Have a good day, sir. Thank you.